My sister said, cancel your job interview and take my son to his baseball game tomorrow. When I said no, she mocked me. Where's your wife and kids? Oh, right, you don't have any. My parents laughed, so I said, still no job? Guess that's why I've been paying your rent. Until today. My name is Caleb. I'm 33. Oldest kid, default babysitter, the one who knows where the spare keys are and how to unclog the sink without making it a crisis. I'm a chef. Not TV fancy, real kitchen, double shifts, burns on both forearms like little white flags. People think chefs party at 2 a.m. Most nights I'm just washing prep tubs and doing math in my head about food costs and rent. I keep knives sharp and feelings dull. It's easier that way. In my family, I'm the steady one. Translation: the person who never says no. I move couches, change tires, and answer texts that start with quick favor. I track birthdays, bring casseroles, and know exactly how many spoons are left at my parents' place because somehow spoons disappear faster than money. My sister is Brie, 2 years younger, golden since birth. She's the kind of person who can miss a payment and still charm the landlord. She has a son, Tyler, who is 10 and obsessed with baseball and YouTube. Our parents love them loudly. They love me quietly, with chores and assumptions. Thursday night, I pulled into my parents' driveway after a shift that smelled like garlic, butter, and a fire alarm that wouldn't quit. I had an interview the next morning for sous chef at a new hotel. Big step up, better hours, actual health insurance that didn't feel like a prank. I set my alarm for 6:30, ironed my only white shirt, and went inside to drop off Mom's requested simple roasted chicken and a tub of stock for Dad's soup. Bree was on the couch, scrolling. My parents were at the table playing cards like the house ran on nostalgia and decaf. Hey, I said. Chicken's on the counter. Don't forget to refrigerate it. Bree didn't look up. Perfect timing, she said. So you'll cancel your interview and take Tyler to his baseball game tomorrow. I laughed because I thought it was a joke. No, I said. I can't. Big debt. She smirked. Oh, so it's like important? Where's your wife and kids? Oh, right, you don't have any. Must be nice to be so available. My parents chuckled. Not a big laugh. That small, mean family laugh that says, we agree with the subtext. I felt my ears burn. I took a breath. I'm not canceling, I said. Bree rolled her eyes. Fine. I'll tell Tyler his uncle thinks work matters more than family. Mom sighed like a stage cue. Dad stacked the cards too loudly. The room pitched itself toward me, waiting for the usual capitulation. I didn't give it. Not then. I just said, I'll text you after my interview. And I put the lid on the stock, and I left my parents' house with garlic on my hands and that laugh caught in my throat like a bone I couldn't swallow. I didn't become the family driver/loan officer/cook overnight. It happened the way kitchens get dirty, one small spill at a time until the floor is sticky and you're skating on it. We grew up in a 2-bedroom with a tiny yard and a grilled Dad called the Beast. Mom ran a daycare out of the house. Dad drove a delivery truck. We were fine. Not great. The lights stayed on. The fridge was full if you liked leftovers and coupons. On birthdays, we got one present and a store cake. If the present was big, the cake was smaller. That's how you balance books when you don't call it balancing books. I learned early that food makes people quiet. If Dad came home snapping, I could hand him a plate and feel the room soften. I learned how to stretch chicken thighs with beans and rice. I learned that my job was to cover gaps, the broken latch, the forgotten permission slip, the awkward silence after Mom said Bree was special. By high school, the roles were official. I worked nights at a diner. Bree did theater and took photos where she looked effortless. I'd come home at 1 a.m., hands smelling like onions and fryer oil, to find a note. Caleb, can you take Bree to school at 7? Mom. I took her. Of course I did. I got into culinary school on a scholarship that covered tuition but not knives, shoes, or commuting. I washed dishes at night to afford a knife roll. Bree tried community college, hated it, dropped for her mental health, and somehow no one insisted she finish. She floated between part-time jobs and creative projects. When Tyler was born, everyone pivoted. Family first, Dad said, which meant Caleb, do more. I was 25, staging, free labor, at a decent place while working at a mediocre place to pay rent. Bree moved back in with our parents for a bit while she got on her feet with the baby. It's just until I find something stable, she said. You understand, Mom added, like a blessing and an insult at once. I stepped up. Of course I did. Formula is expensive. Diapers double that. I started dropping off groceries on Sundays because I was already batch cooking for the week, and adding one more pan of lasagna didn't feel like much. I covered their internet when it randomly got shut off. I paid Dad's copay for the time he forgot his wallet. I bought Bree a used stroller off a coworker, then a crib, then a car seat because hers was expired. She said it like milk, like it wasn't her job to plan before things went sour. When I got my first real promotion, line cook to junior sous, I told no one. I bought myself better clogs and paid off a credit card. I upgraded my phone because the old one died in a stock pot. I didn't celebrate. Celebrating felt like tempting fate, or worse, criticism. Must be nice, Mom says whenever I have something new. The rent situation started as an emergency. Bree's name was on the lease with a boyfriend who left. She was short just this month. I sent $850, then $400, then $100 until Friday. The numbers blurred. She texted that she'd pay me back when her photography took off. I asked what took off meant. She left me on read. Then Mom called. Bree and Tyler are moving in for a while, she said. The apartment is too much. How long is a while? I asked. Don't be cold, she said. The house filled with kid noise again. Tyler's laughter made it hard to be mad. He called me Chef on Kai and asked if garlic was a vegetable. We made pancakes shaped like dinosaurs. I taught him to crack eggs with 2 hands. I watched Bree scroll while I packed his lunch. I told myself I was doing it for him. A pattern set in. I'd get a quick favor, text from Bree at 3 p.m. about a 4:30 pickup. Can you run Tyler to practice? I'm editing. Or can you swing by Target? He needs cleats. Or from my parents. We're out of paper towels. Dad's cell bill is weird again. The microwave quit. None of it is catastrophic. All of it is cumulative. I tried to draw small lines. I can't do weekday pickups. I'm on the line. Give me receipts. Please ask me, don't assume. The lines blurred when Tyler's face crumpled because his practice would be missed, or when Mom sighed and said, "You know we can't do it without you." I watched my bank app more than I watched TV. I tracked everything in notes. $42.18 for cleats, $75 for a clinic, $285 for their electric because the AC ran a little high. 100 here, 300 there. I'd tell myself I'd scale back next month. Next month arrived and came with new holes. Meanwhile, my career kept inching forward. I helped open a bistro as a lead. The chef there taught me more about salt than any class. He also taught me about boundaries. He was blunt. You show up early for everyone, he said. Show up early for yourself once in a while. He pushed me to apply for the hotel gig. You have the palate and the head for it, he said. Stop waiting for permission. The week of the interview, I tried to set the table with my family. I told them it mattered. It's a real shot, I said at Sunday dinner. Better pay. A team I want. I'll be less available that morning. Bree twirled spaghetti. You'll be fine, she said. You always are. Dad clinked his fork. Don't forget where you came from, he said, which sounds like pride, but in our house means stay in your place. Mom asked if the hotel had good leftovers and if I could bring some by. Tyler asked if I could come to his next game and cheer when he was up to bat. Yes, I told him. Just not this Friday morning. Bree sent the cancel your interview text on Thursday. My parents laughed. My ears burned. That was the first big crack. The rest was already split underneath, waiting. The blow-up landed 2 days later at my parents' place. It was supposed to be just cake for Tyler's big game. It turned into a tribunal. My interview went well. Suit jacket from a thrift store, white shirt, clean apron folded in my bag like a promise. We talked menu philosophy and labor costs. I didn't babble. I didn't apologize for wanting it. When I got back in my car, I saw 14 texts from Bree. Did you seriously ignore me? Tyler cried. Mom had to call Aunt Lila to drive. You're selfish. I didn't answer. I drove to my parents for the cake thing because apparently I still believe showing up can fix tone. In the kitchen, frosting sweated under plastic wrap. Bree stood with her arms crossed. Mom's mouth was a thin line. Dad held a knife like a gavel. Apologize to your nephew, Mom said, skipping hello. For what? I asked. For choosing work over family, Bree snapped. For leaving us in a bind. I told you a week ago I couldn't take him, I said. You turned it into a dare. Dad slammed the knife on the cutting board. We don't escalate over these little things. It's not little, I said. You asked me to cancel a job interview because you keep planning on my time like it's yours. Bree laughed. Where's your wife and kids, Caleb? All right. You don't have any. This is the family you've got. There was the line again. The cheap shot. My parents' eyes flicked to me, waiting for my usual swallow ant smile. My chest went hot, then cold. I saw every just this once, every quick favor, every Venmo note that said Ty, like a tip. I put both hands on the counter. No, I said. Excuse me. Mom said. No, I repeated. I'm not apologizing. I'm not canceling things for you. I'm not pretending this is normal. Bree rolled her eyes. So this is revenge. This isn't about revenge, I said, and I felt my voice steady. This is about closure. Silence. Even Tyler paused the YouTube video in the living room. I took out my phone, not to read anything, but to look at the notes I'd kept. Dates. Amounts. Times I drove an hour each way for a 5-minute pickup. It wasn't for show. It was to remind myself I wasn't imagining it. I've been paying your rent for 6 months, I said, and Bree's jaw twitched. I've covered Mom and Dad's utilities 3 times this year. I bought the groceries in your fridge right now. Every time I said I couldn't, you made it personal. Every time I asked for planning, you called me selfish. Dad frowned. You think money makes you better? I think money has been the leash you tug, I said. And I've been the one wearing it. Bree pointed at me. Say that in front of Tyler. Say you don't care about family. I looked at my nephew. He stared like kids do when adults pretend they aren't listening. I care, I told him. I care enough to stop lying about what's fair. Mom's voice turned soft, like the edge of a knife wrapped in a towel. Sweetheart, you've always been particular. Don't be cruel. I'm not being cruel, I said. I'm being clear. Bree crossed her arms tighter. Then be clear. What do you want? I want you to stop treating my time and money like a public utility, I said. I want you to plan Tyler's rides before the night of. I want you to pay your own rent or downsize. I want Mom and Dad to ask me for help instead of assigning it. And if you can't do that, I want distance. Dad snorted. So you're kicking your family out of your life? I'm putting a door on a house that's had none, I said. You can knock. I'll decide if I can open it. Bree scoffed. Pathetic. Maybe, I said. But it's mine. I picked up my keys. My hands were steady. My voice was low. There was a version of me that would have softened it with a joke. That version has kept us stuck for years. I walked to the door. Tyler said, small. Are you still coming to my Saturday game? Yes, I said. I told you I would. I keep promises. I just won't keep secrets about how much they cost me. I left to the sound of Mom exhaling like a prayer she didn't believe in. I got in my car. I didn't cry. I didn't shake. I sat and watched the porch light buzz in daylight and understood that the breaking point wasn't loud. It was precise. Families don't collapse. They reorganize around the person who stops performing. The next morning, my phone became a slot machine. 22 texts from Mom in 3 hours. 10 missed calls from Bree. From Dad's cell new, because he loves a fresh number when bills pile up. Aunt Lila chimed in. Blood is forever. My cousin wrote, heard you're too good for us now. The quotes did the heavy lifting. I turned on Do Not Disturb and made stock. At noon, Bree. Rinse due. You doing it or not? No question mark. Just that hard period. The kind people use when they think they own your answer. I typed, deleted, typed. I settled on, not. She sent 8 messages in a row. Wow. So you're really abandoning your nephew. I'll remember this when you're old and alone. Classic hits. I responded once. I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm ending a pattern. Then I put my phone in a drawer and started breaking down carrots. The hotel called that afternoon. I got the job. The chef said, we like how you think about systems. I said, thank you, and kept my voice calm because joy felt like a fragile thing I didn't want to drop. I texted my friend Luis from the bistro. He sent a string of fire emojis, and finally, I told my parents later in a short message, I got the job. No hearts. No exclamation. Space for them to be normal. They were not normal. Mom, congrats. Don't forget Sunday is Tyler's tournament, and we'll need you to grill. Me. Can't. Working. Mom. Always working. Me. Yes. Dad. So when are you coming by to fix the leaky sink? Me. I'm not. Call a plumber. Dad. Waste of money. Me. It's your sink. Silence for 2 hours. Then Bree. Landlord says we have to be current by Friday or he files. You want that on your conscience? Me. I can help you draft a budget and find a cheaper place. Bree. So no. Me. So plan. The next day, Mom pivoted to kindness as a tactic. Made your favorite lemon bars, she texted. A photo followed. They looked perfect. She added, come by tonight. I stared at the photo the way you stare at the past. I typed, thanks. I'll pick them up after work. I went at 9 p.m. when I knew no one would be awake. I took the lemon bars from the porch like a thief and left a note. These are great. It wasn't unkind. It was how I could do it. The first real test came Saturday at Tyler's game. I showed up with a camp chair and a bag of orange slices because my brain runs on autopilot for sports. Bree saw me and lifted her chin like she was smelling a lie. Mom whispered to a friend. Dad pretended I was air. Tyler ran over. You came. I said I would, I told him. How's your swing? Better, he said. Coach says I dropped my shoulder. Keep your eye on the ball, I said, which is basic and also the only thing I have ever known to be undeniably true about anything. He got a hit. A real one. Not a charity walk. He looked at me first, not his mother, and my throat did a thing I did not authorize. After the game, Bree cornered me near the bleachers. So, rent, she said, like we were picking up yesterday's conversation after a bathroom break. So, budget, I said. She scowled. I can't move Tyler. His school. Then find cheaper within the district, I said. Or get a roommate. Or take on a shift that isn't editing at a coffee shop. You think you're better? She snapped. I think I'm done, I said. She stepped closer. I'll tell Tyler you don't care. Tell him the truth, I said. Tell him I love him. Tell him his mom and I disagree about adult choices. She blinked. I realized no one had modeled a version of love that didn't mean surrender. That week, I opened a separate checking account and nicknamed it Boundaries. I moved most of my savings out of reach of quick Venmos. I turned off notifications from the family group chat. I told my chef I needed Sundays off for the next month to reset my life. He nodded. Good, he said. Use them. On the second Sunday, I sat at my tiny table and wrote down every recurring expense I'd ever absorbed. Bree's phone line, Dad's streaming passwords that still billed to me for some reason, Tyler's sports registrations that I'd fronted. I canceled what I could. I sent 3 texts. To Dad, Disney Plus is on my card. Canceling end of month. You can start your own. To Mom, please stop putting my number on forms as the emergency for bills. Use yours. To Bree, I won't be available for weekday rides. If you can't find someone, call the league. Many parents carpool. The replies came fast and dramatic. Dad, ungrateful. Mom, you're breaking my heart. Bree, hope your fancy chef friends can come to your funeral when no one shows up. Muted. 2 weeks into the new job, I met with HR and set my beneficiaries, a thing I'd put off forever. I listed a charity I care about, Luis, and a note that said, if Tyler is over 18 and in school, he can apply for a one-time grant. It was private. It was mine. It was a way to love a kid without funding an adult's choices forever. There were cracks in the storm. One was a voicemail from Dad at 11:43 p.m. Sinks fixed, he said. Plumber cost $180. Robbery. Then a smaller voice. Worked fast, though. He hung up before the thank you could sneak out. Another crack. Bree texted me a photo of Tyler doing homework. He asked how to multiply, she wrote. We watched a video. No ask. No jab. Just a report from a different planet where we share information instead of invoices. I noticed the house I rent got quieter too. Not just because there were fewer calls. Because my brain stopped rehearsing arguments in the shower. I cooked for myself without making extra to drop off. I tried a dish, charred cabbage with anchovy butter, that nobody in my family would eat, and I plated it like a restaurant plate and sat at my own table and ate it while it was hot. On the first of the month, Bree didn't text at 8 a.m. She texted at 8 p.m., made rent. 2 dots. Wasn't easy. I typed, proud of you. And I meant it. She didn't reply. That was okay. The quiet didn't mean nothing hurt. It meant the hurts had names. When Mom posted a Facebook photo of Tyler with a caption that said, "It takes a village," and tagged everyone except me, I closed the app and did the dishes. When Aunt Lila wrote in the family chat, "Caleb thinks he's better," I didn't defend myself with my ledger. I let other people think whatever made their lives feel meaningful. 3 weeks after the breaking point, I met Bree for coffee because she asked, and because I said I would try if she asked without demanding. We sat at a little table by the window. She looked tired. Not performative tired. Real tired. I found a cheaper place, she said, picking the lid on her latte. It's smaller. Tyler has the bedroom. I'll do the couch for now. It's in the same school zone. That's good, I said. How's he taking it? He likes that the park is closer, she said. He told me to ask you if you could still come to his Saturday games sometimes. I can, I said. I like watching him try. She chewed her lip. I was mean, she said. About the wife and kids. Yeah, I said. You were. I'm sorry, she said. Not dramatic. Not weaponized. Just words put in the right order. Thanks, I said. I'm not changing the boundary. I know, she said. We sat. We watched a dog try to catch a leaf through the glass like it was important. We didn't solve us. We made a dent in something heavy. I didn't become a different person. I became the same person with proof I could say no and survive it. The hotel kitchen is bright and loud in a different way than the bistros and bars where I learned to hustle. We have systems. We label. We don't wing it, because winging it makes poor people cry on the first of the month. I run family meal at 4 p.m. and feed the crew pasta and salad, and sometimes chicken thighs, because I can't quit chicken thighs. Someone always says, "This is the best thing I'll eat all day," and I believe them, and it matters. I set alarms for things that are about me. I booked a dentist appointment I'd rescheduled 4 times. I bought a new pan with a handle that won't blister me. I got a mattress that doesn't feel like a collapsed souffle. Tiny luxuries. No apology attached. Sundays, I walk to the farmer's market and buy too many lemons. I text Louise photos of ugly tomatoes like they're pets. Sometimes I see a family doing the full movie version, matching outfits, stroller, laughter, and my chest tightens. I used to think that meant I'd failed. Now I think it means I'm human. Bree and I are not best friends. We are not enemies. We are people who share a childhood and a kid we both love. She sends me Tyler's schedule on Mondays instead of hours before the game. I circle 2 dates a month and write Ty in my notebook like a reservation I'll keep. When I can't make it, I say so on Tuesday, not on Friday at 5. Mom still sends Barb texts sometimes. "Haven't seen you in a while," she writes. "Hope the hotel is worth it." I reply, "It is. Hope you're well." Dad calls once every 2 weeks to ask, "You still working there?" Like a test I keep passing. He told me last week the sink hasn't leaked since the plumber came. He said it with grudging respect, like the pipe betrayed him by doing its job. Tyler called me on his own last Friday. "We made stir fry," he said. "I cut carrots like you showed me." "That's awesome," I said. "Did you keep your fingers tucked?" "Claw hand," he said proudly. "Mom says I can use the small knife, not the big ones. Yet." "Smart mom," I said. He paused. "Are you mad at us?" "No," I said. "I was mad. Now I'm done being used." "Oh," he said, like he had found a new word. I still hear Bree's old line in my head sometimes. "Where's your wife and kids?" And it stings less every time. My life isn't a waiting room for someone else's approval. It's a kitchen I get to run. The last thing I did for me was tape a card by my door at eye level. Black marker. Simple. Respect is the price of admission. I read it before I leave. I read it when I come home. It applies to everyone, including me. Here's the part one want to say for anyone who understands the math of being useful until you disappear. Saying no picked a fight I'd been losing by default. It didn't make me cold. It made me honest. It didn't end love. It ended access. "This isn't about revenge," I told them. "This is about closure." I meant, I'm closing the tab you've kept open on my life. You can open your own. So when I think about that Thursday, the interview, the laugh, the order disguised as a favor, I don't picture the look on Bree's face. I picture mine in the car window. Tired. Steady. Not cruel. Clear. I still bring soup sometimes when Dad is sick. I still slice extra cake on birthdays. I still cheer too loudly when Tyler hits the ball. I don't cancel a job interview for a ride that could have been arranged with a calendar and 2 texts. From now on, we plan or we don't. We ask or we don't. We respect or we don't. I love them either way. I just love myself enough to stop paying for everyone else's emergencies with my future. That's my door. That's my boundary. And for the first time, it feels like home.